Oh, hi there! I was just editing one of my episodes here. I'm Dylan James Weaver, but you can call me Dylan, and this is the podcast. Hey, let's see how this thing sounds. Oh, whoa, hold in! Okay, so it needs a little more work. But that's the exciting part, because you never know what you'll discover along the way. Oh, don't take my word for it, though. You can find out yourself when you come along on today's episode of the Wad Fam Chalk Pod. Hello and welcome to the Wad Fam Chalk Pod. I'm Dylan Weaver.
I'm Andrew Sabo.
And we are here to talk about episode 077, The Nemesis, Part 1.
Yeah. Blackguard Saga.
We will get into that.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah, dude, it's happening.
Yeah, this is
The
Blackguard.
Nemesis has arrived.
The foil. The perfect foil.
Blackguard.
Blackguard.
Dr. Regis Blackguard.
Dr. Regis Blackguard. Oh my gosh, I have thoughts. Okay.
So this episode first aired July 8th of 1989. Wild. It was written and directed by Phil Lawler.
Of course.
It is track 8 on album 5, Daring Deeds and Sinister Schemes. And it's really, really good.
Yes. I agree wholeheartedly.
It sets into motion
Everything.
Yep.
This
Pretty
is
much.
it. The Nemesis. It's even like labeled that. Like it's just this is it. This is peak villain in Odyssey. It's so good.
Yeah. Yep.
Do we have a promo, Dylan?
We do. Before I get there, I'm going to go through credits.
Yeah, do credits, yeah.
So we've got Maggie Mullooly here as June Kendall. We covered her previously, but wild that it's the same actress for June Kendall the whole way through.
Did she die in real life, and that's why they killed her off in the show?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Have we talked about
the
that?
Tom
before?
Riley maneuver.
Yeah.
We've got, I think we did talk about that. Jenny Long as Lucy.
Okay.
Yay, Lucy!
Yeah!
It was really fun for me. Have we done an episode with Lucy yet?
Lucy Cunningham Schultz? I believe we have at some point. We must have.
That's what I was trying to think, but I also tweeted us or email us or whatever
please.
if you know what episode we've covered with her in
Lucy-
it. But like, we might not have.
No.
We haven't covered much
because
of
you've
Old
done
Odyssey.
mostly Sarah and Mandy for
unless she
girls.
was in... Oh, shoot. She played one of the kids in one of the... She played one of the kids
in the
one
Twilight
Of the, in one of the... I think in the chicken episode.
Yeah, in the chicken episode.
In
of
the Twilight Zone. Okay. That makes me feel slightly less crazy.
Now you don't have to tweet at us.
Yeah.
But you still can if you want to.
Yeah. We won't complain.
No,
also, I think this happened for last week or, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. But there are geese in the background again.
Geese. Sorry.
Yeah. Nothing I can do about that, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's okay. Call of the Wild, as it were.
Yeah. We have Earl Bowen back on the show, this time portraying Regis Blackguard. We previously talked about him because he was Inspector Howard's.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He also plays Dr. Silberman in the Terminator franchise. Senior in Kim Possible.
Yes! I forgot that. I completely forgot that.
And Mr. Bleakman in Clifford, the Big Red Dog.
What? What? That was Blackguard?
Wild, right?
I watched a lot of Clifford. Wow. Thank you. Now I know. That is... I think you've just ruined Clifford.
Impossible.
Impossible.
Hilarious joke.
Didn't we make that before?
I don't know. Maybe. We also have Paul McCusker playing Philip Glossman.
Gotta love him. Philip
Yeah.
Glossman, sneaky councilman.
Yeah.
And with that,
And this is Glossman's second appearance in the show.
is it?
Yeah, because he's in Recollections when Wit's
Oh,
buying
yeah.
Wit's End, as referenced in this episode. Mm-hmm. All right. I think it's promo time.
I think it's promo time. I just really want to talk about this episode.
No, that's fair. I do too.
Coming up on Adventures in Odyssey,
I thought you wanted to run this town, Glossman.
I did what I could.
Which was practically nothing.
Wit has his hands full when a stranger moves to town and tries to keep Connie from going back to work at Wit's End.
I can introduce you to my boss, if you're interested.
All right, let's go.
It's a half hour of intrigue, suspense, and forgiveness on the next Adventures in Odyssey.
A half hour of intrigue, suspense, and forgiveness.
One of these things is not like the other.
Exactly. Also, that gong. What is that gong?
I don't know. There was also the claves.
Yeah.
There's wood blocks that you hit together.
Yeah.
To make that high. Yeah.
That was a lot.
I
That was
love the. I don't know if it's just like the Odyssey theme in a minor key or what it is that they use there at the end. It's used in Novacom. It's used a bunch of other places.
but it's so good.
Great.
Yeah. A motif, as it were.
Yeah.
Sets the tone. And boy, is Dr. Blackard the best freaking bad guy. Mm-hmm. Sorry for saying freaking.
Don't apologize, man. I fully endorse that.
Thank you.
Do we want to talk about it right off the bat? I've got like the blurb from the big old book.
Yes.
About the creation of Blackard.
Book o' Odyssey.
So this is Hubler writing.
Our boy.
But talking about and this is him recounting something that he wasn't there for. So I guess it's just interview based, but whatever. So early days of Odyssey, Connie is the foil to Wit, in that she's challenging him on his Christian beliefs as a non-Christian. Then she becomes a Christian, and so it's like, well, we need a new way to have someone in opposition to Wit. And so they decide to make a character that is a true nemesis, title of this episode,
Roll credits.
and someone who would stand for everything that Wit is against. So they started out with a subtly evil gentleman named Jonathan Dark, based on a character from a Ray Bradbury book.
Okay.
And this episode was originally called The Arcade. Then the character became more overtly evil, and they changed his name to Janus Blackard, with Janus being the two-faced Roman god, and Blackard coming from the Old English word for a scoundrel or villain. And then they dropped Janus and made it Regis.
Interesting.
He then appeared in this episode and ended up sticking around for way more,
Yeah. Quite some time.
as we will obviously be covering. And then talking about Earl Bowen doing his voice, he says that he was doing a ton of acting around the time he was cast in this, and he'd gotten a bad cold, so he did his first appearances speaking in like a really low register, to try and like not destroy his voice, and then they kind of like, because of that, they were just like, you know what, like maybe that's more interesting to do like a quiet villain than a loud one.
Yeah.
And so he just like obviously kept that
Yeah.
throughout his character, and he does always have this kind of, it's not even like a rasp, it's kind of like a growl to his voice.
Yeah, it's just super deep. It's like Shere Khan from the original Jungle Book movie, like the cartoon one, where it's just like it is so vastly deep, and like it kind of it's like a growl. It's like almost like grovelly. Like
Yeah.
it's interesting. but it's so good. It's iconic in the Odyssey world, and as far as voice acting is concerned, it is such a good bad guy voice.
Yeah, and the artwork has always kind of gone out of its way to visually portray him as Wit's opposite, where he always has black hair and a black mustache.
Yeah.
And Wit's got his white hair and his white mustache.
Because Wit is God.
Right. And so, like, it's very,
Yeah, no, it's very easy to see how he was set up to be his nemesis, to be the opposite, to be kind of Wit's undoing, to, push character development, but also be the cause of conflict. And as Wit is the center of Odyssey, the only way to threaten Odyssey is to threaten Wit, and that is in this way. So it makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And to be honest, they did such a good job that I feel like all future Odyssey villains are compared to Blackguard. They're not
absolutely.
They're not compared to Novacom nearly as much.
Well, yeah, because he's the original as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's like the singular villain.
Yeah. He's almost like
really
a super villain situation.
That off.
Yeah.
And he's very Bond inspired. Mm-hmm. Like, he is quite the Bond villain, especially as we get further into it.
Well, and he's a doctor, and there's this whole
Well, yeah, and he literally does the Bond line at the end of this episode. He says to Connie, "My name is Blackguard, Dr. Regis Blackguard."
Yeah,
and it's like,
got him.
Got him. Yeah, it's the clear thing. All right, so
getting into it.
Let's talk about it.
So the episode begins with the Odyssey City Council meeting or board of trustees or something like that.
The Odyssey Town Council.
Yeah, Odyssey
They're
Town
not city.
Council. Yeah.
And they are heated.
Yeah, they're very upset about so it's what is it? There's Philip Glossman that we know of, and then there's Blackguard, Wit, and Tom. And Blackguard is appearing before the board to get a business license to open Blackguard's Castle, which is supposed to be
It's the Novacom Kids Center.
Yeah, it's the Novacom Kids Center. Exactly. Except for with a better name.
Right. They couldn't call the Novacom Kids Center Charles Castle. That would have been weird.
They could have.
Dense Lab.
I like it.
But yeah, so we start out though just with an incredible amount of background noise that's really good.
Yeah.
Kind of give you the vibe of the room, and it's just Glossman and Tom going back and forth about this.
They are literally attacking each other, because basically Glossman doesn't think that's an issue, but Tom is concerned, and he's like, well, I don't know exactly what this business is. And then Wit gets brought into it because Wit was... So Tom's concerned.
Glossman's like, well, we also didn't know what Wit's End was. This sounds a lot like that.
Yeah.
Why are you suddenly being so scrutinous towards this?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Well, and it's more of so he's like, why are you suddenly being so scrutinous towards this? But he also flips it back and saying they were super hesitant about Wit coming in. And then it boils down to Wit going up there and being like, well, Wit had some very clear goals set out for Wit's End when he came in front of the town council, and then he ends up reading them, and they're so sweet.
Yeah,
it's such a good-hearted moment.
The line, and this gets touched on a bunch throughout Odyssey, but his line about Wit's End is, it's a place where kids of all ages can just be kids.
Exactly.
Which
good discussion, crafts, displays, but most importantly, this is where kids can just be kids, and
assumedly spend their parents' money.
Yeah, exactly.
That's never really touched on.
Nope. That definitely happens. Wit is very rich.
Yeah. There's a funny moment where when Tom and Glossman are arguing, he says, they're like, well, why don't we just get Mr. Whitaker up here to talk to himself? And so Tom yells out in the audience, hey, Mr. Whitaker, you want to come up here? And he's like, sure thing, Councilman Riley. And the false formality of it is so funny.
Yeah,
it's they're really in a formal setting, but they are the best of friends.
Yeah, it's so good. I love it. And Glossman's such a good sleazy kind of councilman.
Glossman's really good though, especially when he's first introduced. Like, the promo really sets up who he is.
Yeah.
But even in Recollections and now in this, like, he's not unreasonable or like overtly evil.
No. He's
like,
very good.
He comes across as quite level-headed. Mm-hmm. His argument that, like, yeah, why shouldn't we have competition for Wit's End is like, yeah,
you're
not?
right.
Like,
it's good for the economy and stuff like that.
Right. Like, it's literally an argument for capitalism, which I guarantee you Focus on the Family is a fan of.
Yep, they're very into it, at least of what I know.
So yeah, it's really, yeah.
So
if Kidsborough was any hint, they're very into it.
Exactly.
So it's just this, like...
So that argument sets up... Because, so, like, saying if it's like, oh, it's competition to Wit's End, well, then we have to make sure that it's like Wit's End, and that's when Wit comes up and gives the whole spiel about what Wit's End was supposed to be and is, and then Wit kind of goes to bat for Blackguard.
Well, so Tom is then like, okay, like, can we get your statement of intent, Blackguard? And Wit's kind of like, why don't we just give it a week, let him come up with what to say, and then we'll come back and have that conversation.
Yeah. Which is so good.
Yeah.
Good guy, Wit.
It's great that their first interaction is
Wit
going to bat for the guy.
Yeah, exactly.
That sets things up very nicely.
Yeah.
And we also find out through this whole thing that, because Blackguard jumps in to say that he is Dr. Regis Blackguard instead of Mr. And his PhD is in child psychology.
Which is dope.
I don't think I knew that.
So, yeah, I didn't know that either. It's super interesting because that's like one of the things that I'm actually going to school for.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going for clinical mental health counseling, but I want to specialize in childhood trauma, so
yeah,
it's kind of the same thing.
So you too can be Dr.
Regis Blackguard, a Sabo. The third.
Speaking of his last name, no one can agree on how to pronounce.
Yeah, Blackguard.
Yeah, so the three that I heard the most were Blackguard.
Yeah, Blackguard.
Blackguard.
Yeah, Blackguard.
Like Blackguard.
Yeah.
And like Blakard.
Yeah. Who said Blakard?
Tom at a couple points.
Oh, okay.
Like Mr. Blakard.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just...
Nobody can decide
what to call him.
So I think...
Blackguard.
Right. I think I usually go Blackguard or Blackguard.
Yeah.
And I'm going to probably alternate between those two throughout the series.
But this one, the G is very prominent instead of how they say it, like Blackguard. Blackguard.
Right. Yeah. Right. I fall in between the Blackguard and the Blackguard.
Yeah, exactly. No Blakard. Get out of here, Tom. Blackguard.
Yeah. It's really bizarre, and I think it maybe sort of speaks to, like, the fact that this is still early on in Odyssey, and there's maybe not, like Phil Lawler as a director maybe could have been like, no, or like Paul McCusker is the creator of the character or whatever. Like, you can be like, no, this is the way to say it.
Well, how does Blackguard say it? Dr. Regis Blackguard. So maybe that's it.
Maybe
it's one of those things where it's like they're waiting for them to say their name to see how it's pronounced.
Yeah, but after he introduces himself, they're still all over the place.
Yeah, okay.
And it's one of those things where it's like, if you saw this word written on a page,
you could read it all those sense, yeah.
That you would pronounce it any of those ways. But in the real world, when someone introduces themselves,
you say the name how they say it.
You say the name how they say it.
Yeah.
And so, yes, maybe the characters were reading it off a page to begin with and kind of got it stuck in their head to say it a certain way. Mm-hmm. But it does ring a little bit as this is a script, not people interacting. And whatever.
Yeah.
Like, not like a criticism that really bothers me, just something interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
how they
didn't
notice different things.
Really nail down on how to say his name.
Yet.
And maybe that was truly their intentions. They were like, well, we're just gonna make it ambiguous.
Yeah. We'll see.
Blackguard.
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 Black.
I
Is
can't
there
even
two
say it
A's?
that way. Yes. Wow. There's actually 3.
Yeah, well, yeah. 2 A's back to back, though.
Yes.
Huh. Yeah, I think it's definitely Blackguard.
Blackguard?
Blackguard. Blackguard's castle. Blackguard. Not Blackguard.
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 Blakehard.
Blake Hurd. We're done.
So the meeting then adjourns with
Wit
them saying
inviting
that-
they're gonna go get something to drink, which I'm presuming is like beer?
a milkshake.
Yeah, but this is Odyssey, so it's like tea, hot chocolate,
It's so funny.
perhaps cider if it's
Yeah,
seasonal.
no, they don't even do coffee.
No.
But yeah, Wit's like, Wit says that he and Tom are going back to his house for something to drink, and Glossman and Blackguard could come along. And it's like, Wit and Tom know that's not alcohol. The other gents do not.
No, they don't know that. It could be lots of booze. Yeah, because and I guess that's the thing where it's like, you can't just like watch TV because Wit doesn't have a TV. Like, what are you gonna do at Wit's house? In my head, that house is like 1, perfectly clean all the time, and 2, incredibly outdated all the time.
It's all wood.
Yeah, it's all wood except for like the quintessential like floral print couch that's very lumpy and doesn't have any stains on it, but smells funny.
I'm glad you have such vivid imagery. So Wit and Tom walk away, and we get to hear Glossman and Regis talk, and we get all the villainy now.
Oh yeah, this is when they're like, well, he's like, this is what we get in the promo where he's like, I thought you wanted to run this town, Glossman.
Yeah.
Glossman? And
Yeah.
and Glossman's like, well, they weren't giving me much to work with, like I can't really do much, like it'll happen in time.
Yep. And Black's like, well, like it's not gonna happen with Tom and Wit around, which is so interesting because like
Wit was
like
didn't
right, like
really come out against it, and Tom wasn't really against
and Tom didn't seem like
adamantly
well,
against it. He was just hesitant.
yes. Tom is by character hesitant, though.
Exactly.
So it's just seemed like, yeah, this is Tom doing his Tom thing where he just, drags his feet.
Yeah.
And it's also a thing where it's like, if you're your goal is to get this thing approved and you're a villain, just lie.
Yeah, just lie or just play the game that they want to play,
Right.
so you be as unconspicuous for as long as possible.
But instead,
Inconspicuous.
he starts hinting at, like,
Killing them.
sabotage
Yeah.
or murder.
Yeah, he's like, well, he
we gotta
can't
make
be
sure
here.
that they're not here for the meeting, which seems way more suspicious than if you lied.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and then Glossman's like, well, I don't want to be a part of anything sinister.
I don't want to be involved in any sinister plots, which is the closest to a roll credits for an album
Yeah.
I think we ever get. Because,
Yeah.
like, it's something I didn't think about until he said it, because this is Daring
Yeah,
Deeds, Sinister
Sinister
Schemes.
Schemes, yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, the title for the album is always, like, pretty... It's usually thematically relevant to the album, but not anything, like, directly tied.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
something like On Thin Ice, where it's like, there's that one ice fishing episode.
right.
But...
Right. And even like going to Novacom stuff, like, you've got your battle lines and stuff that's all Novacom, but
Yeah.
like in no point do they say like battle lines.
Yeah, yeah.
It was just
No, you're right.
Funny.
It's a roll credits moment. You're right.
and then it also comes up that Tom is a retired farmer. Which is what is the description Glossman gives of him, and I was like, oh, interesting. I mean, I guess,
Yeah.
but I just never thought of Tom in those terms.
Yeah, as a retired person.
Right.
I feel like maybe he used to farm a lot more and now he just
Right.
farms less.
Right. Maybe now he's got his money stored up, and so he's just farming for fun.
Yeah.
But-
Or he like does like a grocery stand situation like
Yeah.
once a week
Yeah.
for his wares.
Yeah. For all
Yeah, it's so interesting though because it's so early on in Odyssey to date him that way, and then it literally like lasts like 20 years.
Yep.
And God knows what kind of in Showtime that is.
Right. And then we cut to Connie like coming downstairs and her mom being there, and it's such a fun reminder of like, oh yeah, Connie's like kind of a kid at this point. It's been so long since I've been like,
Connie's a kid,
right, listening to stuff with her at that age,
and she's very much a high schooler right now. Yeah. Like she's very much
it's really fun.
and obviously coming off the back of was it 2 episodes ago, with her getting fired.
That we covered.
Yeah.
And this will become really apparent as we proceed. It's Bite of Applesauce where she gets fired.
Yeah.
Then we get the 2-parter of Connie Goes to Camp.
Yeah.
Then we get Eugene's Dilemma, and then this episode, Nemesis Part 1. Mm-hmm. And so Connie Goes to Camp are not considered Nova or not considered Blackguard episodes, but they could be.
Yeah.
Like they
play enough
are
into this that
Connie's Eugene's Dilemma.
yeah.
The difference is Eugene's Dilemma has Maxwell in it,
So it counts.
So it's a little bit more crucial. Mm-hmm. But it's interesting listening to these without having listened to those.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you almost get to be in Whit's shoes a little bit. Mm-hmm. Where he's like, I don't know what kind of change she's gone through. Mm-hmm. And like, because we're skipping over that, we also don't really know.
Yeah, I don't remember anything about those episodes.
Which is interesting. I went back through and read the plot summaries on the wiki. Mm-hmm. Just so I could like kind of refresh myself.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Well, I remember she sends Lucy home because that's touched on this in this episode, and like there's some drama.
It's just right. It's Connie's a camp counselor, and Lucy falls in with a girl who's a little bit on the edge, and they're like sneaking out after hours, and so they sneak out once and get caught.
Yeah.
And then they sneak out a second time, and Lucy, like, basically goes and tells the girl, like, hey, we can't be doing this. Mm-hmm. And at that point, she is caught and sent home. Mm-hmm. So Lucy feels like, well, I was, like, there to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And Connie feels like there has to be consequences. Mm-hmm. As kind of a response to her previous thing with Whit.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. And it's really good, like you said, like to cover it from this perspective because there is, I like the distance from it because not necessarily knowing, definitely makes you empathize with Whit a lot more because Tom, well, we'll get to it, but Tom, asks her why he doesn't hire her on the spot, and she's like, and Whit's like, I don't know, like, change is good, but she didn't ask for her job back, and I don't know what kind of changes happened.
Yeah. Yeah. So in this scene, we have Connie coming downstairs to her mom, and just kind of brooding and moping and sighing.
Yeah.
Until June's finally, come out with it.
Yeah.
And Connie goes through this whole thing that, is super well spoken of just I went through some stuff. Whit is a father figure to me and important to me, and I want to tell him this stuff, and I don't feel like I can because he fired me, and so I'm not sure how to navigate him being my friend but also being my boss, and whether or not he would want to see me and talk about this stuff. And she's really insecure about it, and then
so good.
It's going back and forth. She's just flipping back and forth, and I love that June's just like, I feel like I'm at a tennis match and I'm the ball.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Between Connie kind of bouncing back and forth, and June just kind of ends with like, think about it, like, in your heart what Wit's response is going to be.
Yeah,
just, go to him.
Yeah. And then she's like, well, I'll just go to Wit's End and, maybe if he's there. And then June's like, well, tell Wit I say hi. And she's like, oh, yeah, I will. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's so cute.
Which is also... It's also a reference to, in the previous episode, Connie ends a letter, because the previous those two Connie Goes to Camp episodes are narrated by Connie writing a letter to June, and she ends it with like, P.S. say hi to Wit for me. And so June saying it here is really nice. And it's also like, it's an interesting how they write her with the whole, like, in your heart and whatnot, because it will be, like, over 200 episodes before June becomes a Christian.
Yeah.
So they can't have, like, a pray about it or that sort of thing.
Yeah, no.
But they find a way to get the same sentiment across.
Yeah.
In a way that I think's really lovely, to be like, hey, like, even though Connie and June are at a different place with their faith, June can still be a good parent to Connie.
Yeah, no, that's huge.
Which is, I think, really, really important to show.
Yeah, no, it's really good, and I hope it was intentional.
I genuinely think it was. But,
yeah, I mean, June's, I don't know, she's so supportive of Connie and so kind. It's a shame we don't get to see more of her on the show. Yeah. But I do definitely do really like it, and it gives some insight to Connie as a young person, I think. Like, it really shines a light on. So this is Connie as a high schooler, where her mom is really heavily involved in her life, and her, as a newer character, like, she's very prevalent and very important to her development. And then as that shifts away, the character fades out, Yeah. Yeah. So we go from there to Wit's End, where Eugene is at the counter talking with Lucy. Yeah. Or no, he's at the counter, and Lucy comes up to the counter to say, like, there's someone here. Eugene goes out there with Lucy, and it's Maxwell. Freaking sleaze himself. And she says he's kind of cute. Yeah. And there's this whole... It is so uncomfortable. Maxwell calls Lucy Cunningham Schultz toots, and I almost punched my computer screen. I am so uncomfortable with it. Oh, no.
Wait a second. I'm looking through my notes, trying to see if I can... find the spot. Okay, yeah, there it is. I wrote in my notes, am I allowed to punch a character who only exists in audio?
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly my sentiment. You freaking skis. He is so slimy.
Him and Lucy flirting is something I forgot about and hate with every fiber.
It's so bad, and it does not hold up well, I will say that.
She is a middle schooler.
Yeah.
He is
a grown man.
Yeah, he is
30?
in college. Graduated from college. It's a little bit iffy.
We're gonna say mid-20s.
Yeah,
there's probably...
he might even be early 20s.
We'll say there's at least an 8-year age difference.
Yes, I think Maxwell is supposed to be the same age as Eugene.
Yeah. As a foil, perhaps.
Right. So he is early... Oh, very much as a foil. Yeah. So he is early 20s. But, it is...
so icky. It's so icky. And Richard's just, like, buddying up to Eugene. Like, I don't want to listen.
He calls him...
Meltsy
baby.
Meltsy baby. It's like it's just so sleazy. Like, it's this whole, like, Italian mobster vibe. Like... baby, no, come and visit me at my place of work, and get over your toots. I don't care if you're 8 years younger than me. It's only wrong that we get caught.
He comes across as like is slightly like a hippie caricature too.
Yeah.
Where he's very much just kind of like, go with the flow, man.
Well, and he's he's definitely like foiling Eugene, who's like super uncomfortable, super Richard, or like calling him Richard, like super rigid.
Yeah, and I like. Yeah, Maxwell, like, Eugene always calls him Richard, and Maxwell uses a different nickname every time.
On Eugene, yeah.
And he's very, like, slang heavy and casual and...
Yeah.
Oh,
gosh. And then Eugene sends Lucy away pretty much.
Uh-huh.
And then...
That's when he calls her Toots.
Yeah, and that's when he calls her Toots, and...
And then also... and this speaks to Eugene's issues, which I can relate to, but I want to say Glossman. Maxwell is kind of recalling the previous stuff Whit had told him about that Eugene had told him about Wit's End, and he's like, I don't see any computers around there.
Yeah.
What was that program?
Banana Peel.
Banana Peel.
Apple Core.
And Eugene says applesauce.
What a stupid person.
But like, I also relate to it as like,
I would totally do the same thing.
Like, Eugene wants to be correct, and so he sees an opportunity to correct Maxwell and just does it instinctually, and then kind of realizes what he does and like shuts up. But
yeah, it's so good though. Oh my gosh, and then what? This is when Connie comes in, right? Or well, Maxwell helps Eugene a little bit. Maxwell like cleans tables, and Eugene has to answer the phone or something like that.
Yeah, and because when Connie comes in, Maxwell's at the counter.
Yeah,
and she meets him there, and then Eugene comes out of the back.
Yeah,
and there's that gut punch of
Eugene works here now.
Right, he was rehired, and I was not. And then Glossman,
not Glossman, Maxwell.
And then Maxwell decides to be a complete snake and just be like, well, isn't that kind of crazy that Whit didn't want to bring you back, but he brought Eugene back? Like, whoa.
That was really good. I like that a lot. Like, whoa. Yeah, no, he literally is just poisoning the well here. Yeah. He's just like, no. Like just trying to breed all of this this kind of doubt and this rift between Whit and Connie, which sucks because Connie's young and like so susceptible to it. Yeah. And like, and
she also doesn't fall for it hook, line, and sinker. Like she pushes back a bit and then loses anyways.
Because Maxwell is hot.
Yeah, and this is where my line of "Can I punch an audio only" character came in.
Yeah, because Maxwell is just what's
a well written villain.
Yeah,
because I hate him. I hate him more than any other character we've covered at this point.
Oh yeah,
give me Charles any day of the week.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. Give me Blackguard over him. At least Blackguard's there's some redeeming qualities there.
No, Maxwell is like the Rita Skeeter
exactly
of this.
Exactly.
Where it's like clearly not as bad as Voldemort, but so much worse.
But boy, do I just hate you completely. Oh god. No. I don't like him. He's so sleazy. And then he like tries to like
he's walking out with Connie.
Yeah.
And then Whit and Tom walk in.
Yeah.
And Tom's all cheerful and Whit's like, Maxwell?
Yeah, Maxwell. And then yeah. Oh gosh. It's just well, and we didn't cover it, but like the kids freak out when they see Connie. Oh, Connie's back. Oh, are you gonna work here? Like Connie, all this stuff.
Right.
And it's so good. And then it just makes everything with Eugene working here, just so much worse.
The kids freak out, but Lucy is pissed.
Oh, yeah. Lucy is super...
Generic Wit's End kids are thrilled. Lucy's so mad at Connie for what happened.
Got kicked out of camp.
Right, because she got kicked out of camp, and she doesn't feel like she did anything wrong. And And Connie is clearly hurting about it too, similar to Whit hurting when he fired Connie.
Exactly.
Connie feels bad about the fact that she sent Lucy home, but she also feels like it was the right thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah, and like there's like, oh, it's a stupid rule, and it's like, well, rules are rules, and like rules are there for a reason, and like breaking rules has consequences, and it's just it is cold. And then Whit comes by, and Tom's super happy to see her, and Whit is just very not happy that Maxwell is there, and it's I don't even
And then they just like small talk for a while, and then Connie kind of removes herself from the situation. She mentions like, oh, like
I worked at camp.
I was at camp and like I learned a lot. And then she also has the line where she says, and I've learned a lot since I've been back as well.
Yeah. Which
is clearly this bitter line towards Whit, kind of at the provoking of Maxwell, but also just in seeing Eugene there. Like, towards Eugene, Connie is so mature.
Yeah.
She handles it very well.
Surprisingly well, to
but
be honest with
you know that it's still impacting her, and she drops that line here.
Yeah, this era of Connie, I feel like, is super well written in a way that later Connie isn't, where it's like she's younger and more insecure and quieter. Yeah. And whereas later she's older and more confident, but she's also way just louder and less wise as far as what she says and doesn't say.
Yeah. I think part of it is at this point, like, Connie still has a clear arc. She has things that are happening outside of what we see in the show. Mm-hmm. Like, she's going to school and like all that stuff. Yeah. Which I think helps like ground her a little bit more than when it's like, well, like, she just does the things we see.
Yeah. Which is what she is now.
Yeah. Like, she very much these days feels like a character that only exists for as long as the episode is on. Mm-hmm. And at this point, she feels like she has other stuff going on in her life, and we're seeing some of it. But yeah, so she runs out, and Tom's like, why didn't you give her job back?
Yeah.
And Whit's like, I've got, like,
she didn't ask.
I haven't seen, well, yeah. His big thing is that she needs to ask for it back, which is stupid.
Because Eugene didn't.
Eugene did not ask for his job back.
Yeah.
In fact, we basically forced him into it.
Yeah, with the internship and everything. Yeah.
Like, we had him transferred to its end without his knowledge.
Yep.
So that he couldn't back out of it. But with Connie, it's like, well, she has to come to me. I'm not going to, because
she's a woman,
be generous and extend this thing to her. I need proof that she's changed, and the only way that she can prove it is if she comes to me and asks for a job.
Yeah. No, it's
which just feels like manufactured plot to have Connie not work there right now.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I don't know why it's there other than because Whit's other reason was great, was that, like, so she says she's changed, but we don't know how. Like, that's an excellent reason to not hire somebody.
Right, exactly. Like, pull what you did at the college and go talk to the camp director.
Exactly. Or talk to Connie.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really, really tough.
But then Maxwell and Connie...
Whit's big thing throughout all of that is that he doesn't know if she understands yet why she was fired.
Okay.
That's like his big motivation, where he's like, I don't know if she's like, if she's really come to terms with that, but we as the audience know that she has, which makes this tough.
Yeah. But it's also really good.
Then she goes outside, and Maxwell runs up to her, and it is raining or a city street. There is so much ambient noise.
Yeah, I'm thinking raining. I'm going raining right with this, because that's what I was thinking originally. Yeah. And then they just walk to Blackguard's castle.
Yeah.
And
which, for the record, he just had built.
Yes. He got
approval to build a commercial building within the city limits and did not get approval for that building to be a kids center.
That checks out, actually. I feel like that could be a thing. Because a commercial building license is different.
No, it is. However, it doesn't make sense that he... Like, it seems weird that he went to the board to get approval to build a building, knowing that building was to be used for this, but not knowing if he would be able to use it for that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess he could just fall back on murder, which seems to be his vibe.
Like, it's just... It's weird, and I don't know why it wasn't just... It's a empty building that he's going... That he... Like, if the line was... He just purchased the building. Cool.
That's
no
it.
questions. If the line was, he just had the building built, suddenly I'm so confused.
Yeah. As people that are aware of, zoning and stuff. I suppose we are a bit above the target age for this episode.
Weird. Yeah. But why?
I don't know.
Then... and maybe there's something really important plot-wise that requires this to be a building that he built himself. I don't remember.
Neither do I.
But then he steps out into the shadows and delivers his Bond line of "My name is Blackard, Dr. Regis Blackard."
And that's the episode.
That's the episode. There's a little bit where... So the whole reason that Maxwell wants to introduce her to Blackard because...
She wants him to work for her.
Right. He's like, oh, you could work for...
Yeah. His whole thing is like, there's more than just Wits End for you to work at. Like,
which
you can
is
meet my new
something
boss.
that June said as well.
Mm-hmm. And you can get in on the ground floor and all this stuff, which, pun intended, because they just built the building. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. And like, he's really... One, I don't like him. Two, just working at Blackard's Castle really hard. And really well, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And that's where the episode ends, because it's part 1. Is there even a Chris outro?
Radio broadcast, yes. Okay. AIO club that we listen to.
No. Okay. And the theme of the episode is trusting God.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Okay, whatever. I just thought that was strange.
Yeah, I don't know what Chris's wrap-up said to tie that in.
Psalm 46:1.
Of the sons... Oh, never mind. God is our refuge and strength and ever-present help in trouble.
I'm presuming it's probably the same theme for the part 2.
Probably.
That's probably it, where something actually happens that requires trusting in God. I don't know.
Yeah, because the discussion questions are also for both parts.
Yeah.
But, man, guys, it's happening.
Yeah.
The previous 2 episodes were like, we're covering Blackard stuff. But this is like,
he showed
Blackard
up.
is here.
There's so much less building than Novacom. Novacom, there was like several,
Yeah, but there's also...
But Novacom was a bigger thing.
I was going to say, Novacom is one long arc.
Yeah.
Blackard is a bunch of somewhat independent arcs where he is the villain.
Yeah.
Like, he's like the... I don't know, he's like the Lex Luthor. Mm-hmm. Like, he's not the villain in every episode, but, like, he's the one who keeps coming back.
Yeah. The Nemesis. The arch rival.
Yeah.
Arch Nemesis. I mean, feelings on the episode, very good.
Very good. I hate Maxwell.
He's the worst.
I was going to say I love Blackard. I love
Blackard.
I love Earl Bowen as Blackard.
Yeah.
I love kind of all that's being set up.
Mm-hmm.
Tom is great.
Mm-hmm. Wit is actually good.
Yeah, Wit's okay. I mean, no. Like, I really like Wit in the town council scene. I like him less in the Connie scene.
Yeah. But even then, like, he seems like he's...
Yes. He does seem pretty level-headed.
Yeah.
And, like...
He doesn't seem like... I don't know. Especially, we look at it now, having covered Novacom, where Wit from the beginning was like,
Right.
My God senses are tingling.
Right, and in this one, we get Tom as the skeptical one, though not out of character skeptical.
No.
And Wit as like a
As a Christ figure,
let me
let's be friends.
take you under my wing and
Yeah.
try and make this happen. But
Somebody that's literally in direct competition for him. Like he stands to lose the most from Blackguard's Castle coming in, and he still is like, sure.
that's totally fair. Like, this is going to be a direct competitor to Wit, and he's still willing to give it a shot.
Good guy, Wit. Yeah. Do you have anything else? I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I'm not sure that I am.
It's a really solid episode.
Like it a lot.
I
Good
do
sound
too.
engineering. Good kids. Good plot.
Yeah.
Ties in really well. Kind of wish I had listened to the Connie Goes to Camp ones. I'll probably listen to them before the next one.
Yeah.
Maybe I won't. I don't know.
Yeah, I might as well. I don't know. Lucy's great.
Yeah.
But I hate that Maxwell is.
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. That does not hold up well. I mean, obviously it was skeezy to begin with, but oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Well, we'll talk about it more in a week.
Yes, sir. Yes, we will.
Do
you have anything to promote?
I'm not promoting anything this week, are you?
No. I mean, I would like to give our good friend Lee a shout out from the AIO wiki, because he made us a page,
That's
which
true.
is really nice. It
I
has
will-
all of the episodes we've ever covered and all of their release dates,
Yeah.
which is very sweet.
If you search for WadFam Chalkpod on the AIO wiki, you will get to our page.
Which
That's-
is kind of cool.
Yeah, it is kind of cool because we use the wiki
All
constantly.
the time.
And then, yeah, similarly, whatever. If you like us and want to let us know, we would love to get some more reviews on Apple Podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
I'll throw the link in for that, and also just I don't know, tell people about us.
Yeah.
We like making this show. We like people hearing it, and we're covering some big stuff right now.
Yeah,
I
this
feel
is
like there are
iconic Odyssey.
probably, yeah, you probably know someone
Mm-hmm.
who would be interested. But if not, no worries. We're not planning on changing anything up on you. But I'll bring it up.
Yeah, of course. Tell a friend. Seriously. I mean, I don't know. Odyssey's I like our show in the sense that I feel like anybody that likes Odyssey can enjoy our show because it's very plot centric, and it's also yeah. I mean, we cover the episode, so even if you haven't listened to it, you can pretty much get what's happened.
Though I wouldn't recommend that.
No. It's less than ideal.
I mean, I wouldn't recommend it if you've never heard it. I don't think you need to listen to the episode right before you listen to ours.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you've never heard it before and you're listening, I'm just curious to meet you.
Yeah.
Email us, tweet at us, something. If you don't listen to Adventures in Odyssey but listen to this show, let's have a chat.
Yeah. How is that going for you?
Yeah. But until then, we'll be back in a week with episode 078, The Nemesis, Part 2. Goodbye.
Bye.
WadFam Chalkpod is a presentation of the Lidditz Podcast Co-op. This show is a fan podcast and has no official affiliation with Adventures in Odyssey or Focus on the Family. As such, the copyright is ours under Creative Commons. Follow the podcast at WadFamChalkPod on Twitter and Instagram, or email us at wadfamchalkpod@gmail.com. The Nemesis Part 1 was hosted by Dylan Weaver and Andrew Acebo and edited by Dylan Weaver. And I'm Nathan Haverstick, hoping you'll join us again next time for more of the WadFam Chalkpod.